Good morning and welcome to the Bear Show. I am that bear man from the internet. If you're new here, subscribe, ring the little bell icon, do all those things. Roughly 40% of y'all who watch this brief are not subscribed. Man, do your man a favor, hit the little button. For those that aren't new here, welcome back. You know what to do. Leave a comment for the algo, share the show with somebody that you love. All the other YouTube things. It is Monday, the 3rd of July, 2023. I saw RL asked in the chat, Bear, how are you? People rarely ask you that. I'm great. I'm blessed. I'm smoked. I spent 5 hours yesterday running drills in the 99-degree heat, running drills, assaulting uphill, and my legs are shot. Oh, man. Nicholas says, I'm going to share the show with Bear because I love the show. Thanks, Nicholas. Today, we are going to talk about the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant briefly. We're going to talk about some Supreme Court decisions, and we're going to talk about the civil unrest in Francais. Shalom, Miss Lovely Dudley. So I want to begin not with the written brief, but with an update based upon HUMINT coming out of Ukraine. The Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, which we talked about in a brief last week. We talked about the possibility that that plant could be blown and that members of the United States Department of Defense have said that, and politicians here in the United States have said that if the ZAP nuclear power plant was blown by the Russians, that if that fallout was to drift into any of the surrounding nations of Ukraine, which are NATO nations, that could be enough to invoke Article 5. An attack on one is an attack on all, and that would lead to a significant amount of NATO escalation. Well, one of my contacts has many contacts over in Ukraine. And so secondhand information to y'all, there are rumors that the Russians have pulled out of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant and have told their people, the Ukrainian staff that are still operating the plant, that they need to be out of the plant no later than the 5th of July. Okay, so as mentioned previously, I don't think Russia has anything to gain by blowing that plant. I don't believe the Ukrainians have anything to gain by blowing that plant. But I do believe the military-industrial complex in the United States of America has a lot to gain by blowing that plant, i.e. hot war in Europe, yet again, between NATO and Russia, with Ukraine being the stage that war will be fought on. It'll probably spill over into some other places as well. I'm not saying that the plant will be blown between now and the 5th of July, 2023. I am saying that apparently, based upon information coming out of Ukraine, given people that have reason to know, that allegedly the Russians have pulled out of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant and are telling the staff that is currently operating the plant that they need to be out of it no later than the 5th, which is 2 days away. Now, what happens if that plant is blown? Nuclear fallout, potentially, a significant amount of power going into the grid, the struggling grid in Ukraine is taken offline, and the very likely potential for escalation from NATO to continue to perpetuate this war in Ukraine. Why? Why would we blow the plant? Well, one, causes belli, black swan event. Well, now we have to do something. We have to. We have a moral mandate that we have to do something. That's one. Two, the much flaunted and touted Ukrainian counteroffensive isn't going that well. And so if we asterisk needed a good reason to send more troops, more war material, more money into Ukraine, this would be a really good one, because the air quote Russians blew the power plant. And again, I don't think the Russians gain anything by blowing the power plant. I don't think the Ukrainians gain anything by blowing the power plant, but I think the Americans, or at least some of those who fly the flag, gain a lot by blowing that plant. Days. Real world prepper got hit by a tornado. Bad damage. Can you help him? Days, that's the first I've heard of it. Days, have you or Real World Prepper reach out to admin at Grindstone Ministries and give me the deets? Not here in the chat. Email us, admin at Grindstone Ministries. If we can help, we will. Clancy Russell, Bear, what website do you sell Bibles on? Copies of the scriptures at our cost at grindstoneministries.com. And if you cannot afford a copy, no issue. You just email admin at Grindstone Ministries. I don't need to know why right now you can't afford a Bible. I just need to know where to send it. So you just tell us how many Bibles to send you and the address that they need to go to, and we will get them out in the mail to you. Okay? Awesome. So be on the lookout, Bolo, for potential nuclear winter in Ukraine here within the next 48 hours. And then potential escalation beyond that. Okay? Okay, Bear. All right, good talk, everybody. Now, we're going to talk about the Supreme Court. I have a written brief here and a couple of tabs open on my computer that we're going to look at. Bear Independent brief, 3rd of July, 2023. The Supreme Court has officially ruled that one-time student loan forgiveness plan offered by the Biden administration has been ruled against. While those with student loans will not be receiving tens of thousands in government funds, which, by the way, where does the government get their money from? Because we all know they're not industrious. They take it out of your paycheck. And I would submit to you that if everybody, much like myself, had to write a quarterly check to the government for taxes, you'd be a lot less willing to pay the government that portion of your income, because it's taken out of your paycheck automatically. For the vast majority of people, you never actually feel the pain of writing that check. While those with student loans will not be receiving tens of thousands in government funds, it is important to note that other loan forgiveness plans have not been struck down. Only Biden's separately proposed student loan forgiveness program. Chief Justice John Roberts explained the Supreme Court's decision for the fundamentally novel program, saying, quote, "The affected statutory provisions granted the Secretary the power to discharge borrower's liability or pay the remaining principal on a loan under certain narrowly prescribed circumstances. Those circumstances were limited to a borrower's death, disability, or bankruptcy, a school's false certification of a borrower, or failure to refund loan proceeds as required by law, and a borrower's inability to complete an educational program due to closure of the school." So those are the incidents under which student loan debt could be forgiven. Come on, brain, wake up. The corresponding regulatory provisions detailed rules and procedures for such discharges. They also defined the terms of the government's public service loan forgiveness program and provided for discharges when schools commit malfeasance. In other words, the proposed Biden plan didn't adhere to any of those regulations, any of those rules, any of those stipulations. Therefore, not lawful. After this decision, the Biden administration has made clear that it will still be pursuing the ability to provide relief to those drowning in student debt, but that it will require creating a new rule through the Department of Education, which will take longer. Moreover, the restarting of debt payment in the fall is expected to be eased with an on-ramp period of penalty avoidance for 1 year. So we're going to kick the can even further down the road, and you guys know where I stand on student loan debt forgiveness. If you have student loan, you signed your name on that line. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. Could you have been deceived? Sure. But we've all been deceived by this system. I'm very distrustful of the system when the system wants to bail you out of the system. This is being done, in my opinion, this granting of student loan debt forgiveness, not because of the altruistic virtues of the federal government, but to buy your support. That's it. I had debt. I got out of debt. I know lots of other people that had debt that got out of debt. And I know lots of other people that have debt that are in the process of getting out of debt. Debt that they agreed to take on. And with student loan debt, you agreed to take that debt on. Additionally, if you're one of those people that went to a 4-year school and got some bullshit degree and barely eked through the graduation process because you were engaged in all types of adolescent stupidity, that's on you, bro. I didn't do that. I didn't agree to finance your adolescent stupidity, let alone agree to finance your degree in whatever it was that you were actually there for in the first place. So amortizing your debt across all Americans is bullshit. We don't do that with anything else. If I racked up a huge amount of debt with my company and I couldn't pay it, would it be righteous or unrighteous for me to mandate that you now have to pay my debt? That's correct. Unrighteous. Andrew Stanek, underwater gay basket weaving. Yep. It's a great major. This actually gives me a little bit of hope, also from the Supreme Court. Another recent Supreme Court ruling helped to define the U.S. laws regarding a Sabbath for employees. Gerald Groff is a former United States Postal Service employee who wanted Sundays off for church and rest. The United States Postal Service had started delivering packages for Amazon on Sundays, so they argued that he was shirking his duties onto his coworkers. The court did as Groff's attorneys requested, and Justice Samuel Alito wrote, quote, "An employer must show that the burden of granting an accommodation would result in substantial increased costs in relation to the conduct of its particular business," end quote. Essentially, due to the First Amendment, which has always been a thing since 1791, if you're one of these people that needs to take due to your biblical beliefs to observe the Sabbath, you need to take a day off from work. And up until now, you've been in a battle with your employer to get that Sabbath day of rest off. Great news for you. There's now a Supreme Court decision that says that your employer has to accommodate that. And if they don't accommodate it, they have to be able to show in writing that it would cause substantial harm to the company if you didn't work that day. And so it actually puts the burden of responsibility on the company rather than the employee to show that. In the meanwhile, you now have this Supreme Court case to refer to when you say, hey, I'm going to need the Sabbath off. If your employer says, nope, sorry, can't do that, you can say, well, actually you can, and you will, because of my religious freedoms as protected under the First Amendment and affirmed by the United States Supreme Court. So that's awesome. That's really awesome news, I think, for a lot of people. The decision is expected to have further reaching impacts, protecting religious rights of employees from their employers in regard to other areas like dress and speech. Groff said after the decision, quote, "I hope this decision allows others to be able to maintain their convictions without living in fear of losing their jobs because of what they believe," end quote. That's great, says Miss Lovely Dudley. I agree. 100%, as the kids say on the streets these days. Now, regarding the United States Supreme Court, one of our chief idiots in office, AOC from RT, Russia Today, RussianPropaganda.com. U.S. Congress may need to impeach the Supreme Court judges, according to AOC. The Democrat lawmaker has claimed recent rulings reflect an authoritarianism and abuse of power. U.S. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Democrat out of New York, has accused the Supreme Court of abusing its power with authoritarian rulings on such issues as abortion, LGBTQ protections, and race-based college admissions, arguing that lawmakers should consider impeaching justices for breaking laws. Breaking what laws? They're the Supreme Court. Their decisions overrule all other lawful decisions in the United States of America. As I was saying, idiots in office. She, said idiot, told CNN on Sunday that if Chief Justice John Roberts does not voluntarily testify in a congressional probe of alleged ethics violations by Supreme Court judges, lawmakers should consider issuing subpoenas to demand answers. The New York Democrat also called for imposing more stringent ethics guidelines to help maintain a proper balance of power among the nation's three branches of government. Whose ethics, sweetheart? Your ethics? My ethics? God's ethics? Maybe the founding fathers' ethics who put this system into place. Whose ethics? It sounds like the Supreme Court made a bunch of calls that AOC and the Democrats don't agree with. Therefore, we must call the Supreme Court to task. Take them to task. We don't agree with you. Well, tough shit, lady. That's the way it works around here. I've spent the majority of my adult life disagreeing with the powers that be. Welcome to the club. There also must be impeachment on the table, said Ocasio-Cortez. Quote, we have a broad level of tools to deal with misconduct, overreach, and abuse of power, end quote. I guess cutting to the chase. Yeah, we have a broad level of tools. How much further should we separate this society, the United States of America? Because really what we should be doing is loving our neighbor as ourselves. That's really what we should be doing. Sometimes our neighbors are very unlovable. And that is in large part by design, says me. Why do we have so many different facets of identity politics here in the United States of America? Rich versus poor, black versus white, brown people versus white people, Democrats versus Republicans, urban areas versus rural areas. It just keeps going. Pick an issue. Pro-life, pro-choice. That is being done intentionally to separate all of us out into our little tiny groups, to put us all in our own little tiny box. We have a broad level of tools to deal with misconduct, overreach, and abuse of power. Me too, sweetheart. Me too. Second Amendment, anybody? If we continue to focus on fighting each other, that continues to keep the spotlight off of them. I feel like that's done incredibly intentionally. Douglas McGregor, not Douglas MacArthur, different general, Douglas McGregor has said that he doesn't think that we're going to have elections in 2024, that the United States of America will have devolved by that point. Good morning, Tommy. Will have devolved by that point, 2024. So that's November 2024. It's July 2023. So in the next 16 months, society will have devolved to the point where we will not have 2024 elections. I think that's on purpose. Now, AOC again, I'm talking about impeaching the Supreme Court justices. Best of luck. Let's see. The courts, this is a quote, if they were to proceed without any check on their power, without any balance on their power, then we will start to see an undemocratic and frankly dangerous authoritarian expansion of power in the Supreme Court, which is what we are seeing now, end quote, says A useful idiot. She's one of the cornerstones of communism, a useful idiot, but an idiot nonetheless. Last thing I want to touch on, just from a civil unrest standpoint, there's a lot of people who are operating under the assumption that things can never get that bad here, wherever here is for you. Have you been paying attention to what's going on in France? I've seen video of multiple hundreds of people marching down the street with bombed out, burnt out buses, public transportation, absolutely destroyed storefronts. One dude looked like he was loading, I don't know, it was a 240 or it was shorter than that. So maybe it was a Mark 48. I don't know. But there's a guy loading a belt-fed machine gun while marching down the streets in France. What? I got to pay a $200 tax stamp and $40,000 for that gun. And in France, these youths that are rebelling have got belt-fed machine guns. Okay. All right. Sure. Also from RT, France counts economic cost of unrest. The riots and looting after a teenager's death have affected hundreds of businesses in the country's second largest city. The economic cost is mounting in France after the fatal police shooting of a teenager sparked widespread unrest. Some of the worst violence and looting was reported in the southern port city of Marseille, where 400 businesses were vandalized. The local Chamber of Commerce and Industry has revealed, quote, all types of businesses have been targeted, especially those with valuable merchandise, end quote. The head of the chamber for Marseille Provence, Jean-Luc Chauvin, told France Info on Sunday. An initial estimate by insurers has put the cost of the damage at more than $109 million, a number that will undoubtedly rise, he added. According to Chauvin, for some stores, it will take months to repair the damage, in particular those that were set on fire or whose stock was completely stolen. France has been gripped by violent protests since Tuesday after police in the Paris suburb of Nantes shot and killed a 17-year-old French-Algerian boy identified as Nahal M. when he reportedly refused to comply during a traffic stop. The officer who fatally shot Nahal was swiftly arrested and charged with homicide, although the incident triggered a wave of nationwide violence that has since spilled over into Belgium and Switzerland. Well, it could never happen here. I'm not going to bug out. Okay, sure. French authorities deployed 45,000 police officers, including in Marseille, after streets were overrun by youths who started fires and attacked officers, public buildings, and stores. The number of arrests reportedly dropped to 157 overnight from Sunday to Monday in what was the sixth consecutive night of violence. A peak of 3,880 arrests was recorded on the night of 30 June, according to the French Interior Ministry. Well, that can't happen here. That would never happen here. Remember Black Lives Matter? How many billions of dollars of infrastructural damage do you have to do before you're a domestic terrorist? There is no good answer to that because it depends upon who's in charge in the government, doesn't it? That's the brief for today. I'm going to go pee because it's my show and I get to do what I want. If you're still here after I get back from peeing, we'll discuss the value exchange here at this channel. Bless you, Steve. Thank you. If you're not still here after I pee, hey, man, beat feet, skedaddle. Have a great day. Get out of here. Shalom. Chief PI. What worries me more than what this said is what the powers that be are not saying and doing in the background. For sure. Don't worry. We are not given to a spirit of fear. Grow food. Affect your own security. Train. Have a group of people that you love that you can do life with. Did I mention grow food? Nail your population density. Don't be where the problem is. Bear, how do I avoid martial law? Don't be where the problem is. What do I do if there's riots? Don't be where the problem is. How do I survive an EMP? Don't be where the problem is. Oh, but then I won't be able to get Domino's delivered to my house. Okay, whatever you're into, bro. I gotta pee. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, bear. I'm back. All right, so listen, tomorrow's the 4th of July. Here's your 4th of July safety brief. Don't be an idiot. Don't mix explosives and alcohol. Keep all of your fingers and toes attached. Have a real first aid kit within reach if you're going to be doing anything risky, please and thank you. Village Idiot, does Refuge have any kits geared towards infant and toddler? My wife will be delivering a baby on January 1st. I know I need the birthing bucket and postpartum bucket. Well, Village Idiot, first of all, congratulations on your awesome news. Blessings on you and your wife, on your household. Infant and toddler, what you want to get is an S-mark bandage or a SWAT T, stretch wrap and tuck tourniquet. Neither of which are recommended as tourniquets from the Committee on Tactical Combat Casualty Care, COTC. But they work incredibly well on small people. And also on small people, direct pressure works really well. They have very small limbs. Now, the Cat 7 tourniquet can cinch down onto a limb as small as 1.5 inches in diameter. But at that diameter, it's not always reliable. So SWAT T or S-mark bandage, JC Fixer, bless you, thank you. You can find both of those things at refugemedical.com. Now, again, tomorrow is the 4th of July, Independence Day. I personally have no problem either way of celebrating or not celebrating Independence Day. Whatever you're into. I think for some people, their identity has shifted from an American to a child of the Most High, and they don't derive any pleasure or fulfillment from celebrating Independence Day. And I totally understand that. For others, this country is still something that's worth celebrating, even if it's a shadow of its former glory currently. I believe what we experience as air quote freedom today is the type of thing that would have the founders of this country rolling over in their graves. So I care 0% one way or the other what you do or what you don't do tomorrow, but I am begging you, please, to be safe. Fireworks are explosives, and I dread the 5th of July every year because we will get swamped with emails on the 5th of July of the use of our kits. And I've gotten too many emails from people who have blown their hands off with fireworks to really look forward to the 5th of July. It doesn't work for me. And on the one hand, I'm thankful that our kits are there to save people's lives. On the other hand, I hate it when people are injured in what would be otherwise be completely avoidable incidents. So please be careful. Please, please, please be careful. And please, just like Zach said, have a kit with you. I'll be at a block party tomorrow with my SOB kit. Bless you. Thank you. Play with C4. It's safer. Yeah, you can hit C4 with a hammer and it won't explode. Yeah. You ever play with the spicy Play-Doh?
No.
No spicy Play-Doh? We'll fix that. So, refugemedical.com. You can get all the life-saving equipment that you need. Our demographic is pretty basic. If you're currently breathing air and there's currently blood circulating inside your body, you need a good kit to keep it that way. Okay? So our kit of the week is the adventure kit. We talked about it on Friday, and you boys and girls out there in the Bear Nation did a phenomenal job of trying to help me sell these out before the email even went out last night. This is the adventure kit. It comes in red and black and multi-cam and coyote tan and in ranger green, I believe. And it is chock full of stuff, as you can hear. Hear that? Metal hardware, padded strap, Molly compatible, although I don't know what you would Molly this to, but you could use it as a butt pack on war belt if you wanted to. And the contents of this kit have not been restaged because I took it apart on camera last Friday. So we'll do that again very quickly today. This is at an already reduced price in the website right now. And if you're on Patreon and use your Patreon promo code as well, you're going to get an awesome deal on this kit. A significant amount of money off. Zach, metal hooks. Why doesn't anyone else do those? Because they cost more. And we're not driven by price point. We're driven by quality. All right. In no particular order, coming out of the adventure kit. Trauma pack with quick clot, 2x2s, 4x4s, 5x9 gauze pads, fold flat duct tape, a roll of Kerlix gauze, triangle bandage, compressed gauze for wound packing, Mylar blanket for hypothermia, and a pair of gloves. An SK6 surgical set with 20 sutures in it, surgical drape, rolled gauze, your instruments right here, curved Kellys, scalpels, etc., medical tape, all that. Hydrocortisone cream in case you get itchy. I need a bucket to throw all this stuff in. Haven't learned my lesson from Friday. An S-mark bandage. One of y'all was just asking about for children. This is an S-mark bandage. It's just a piece of stretchy rubber, and they work phenomenally well. And look, from TACMed Solutions, right there. The best stuff from the best companies. Benadryl, in case you get itchy, have an allergic reaction, hopefully not anaphylaxis. Set of shears, real ones. Hear that? Good shears. A gauze pack with an eye shield, iPad, 2x2s, 4x4s, 5x9s. An Olay's pressure bandage right here. One of the best pressure bandages on the market, if not the best. Medical tape. Splinter out. Triple antibiotic ointment. Duct tape. More gloves. Ty's going to be so pissed at me when he has to put this thing back together again. Sorry, Ty. I guess it's job security. An ace bandage right here. Cohesive bandage. A real tourniquet. Soft T tourniquet. Committee on TCCC recommended windlass tourniquet with thousands of applications in a combat zone. These really work. This is not some make-believe, pretend rat's tourniquet or anything like that. This is a real tourniquet. Band-aids. Stairs for minor lacerations, wound closures. Burn shield. Fireworks, anybody? Burn shield dressings. Oral rehydration salts. If you've been assaulting uphill for 5 hours in the 99-degree heat, try oral rehydration salts. Highly recommended. More gloves. Airway and respiratory module with 5x9 gauze pads, vent and non-vented chest seals, and a nasal pharyngeal airway for maintaining a patent airway and plugging holes in the pleural space. Antidiarrheals, because shitting yourself to death is a bad way to go. OTC med packs, right? Acetaminophen, aspirin, ibuprofen. OTC wipes, BZK wipes, povidone, iodine, sting relief, triple antibiotic, burn gel, etc. A whole bunch of them too. Sharpie for drawing pictures. A SAM splint for C-spine or for stabilizing a busted limb or whatever. Glucose, right here. You're having somebody who is having a diabetic emergency. And a sharp shuttle. And then you're still left with this amazing Made in America bag, guaranteed forever. And what's cool is these two pockets back here, see these two pockets? They have been thoughtfully designed to hold 2 AR-15 pattern magazines or 1 SR-25 magazine each. What a coincidence. And then you have this pocket inside here as well. Pops open, that has this bungee retention here as well. So you can get the bag only option on this. If you just want the bag, you can do that. And this makes a great messenger bag, a great kit bag for whatever. And all this stuff made in America, guaranteed forever. HSA, FSA eligible. My phone is under a pile of medical equipment. This is, I mean, guys, this is the pile of medical equipment. Yeah. Significant. These are not bullshit first aid kits. These are not price point first aid kits. The best on the market. So again, tomorrow's the 4th of July. Be freaking safe, everybody, please. Refuge training. There are classes in the store. Don't be an ass. Come to class. If you need to know how to use this stuff, go to refugetraining.com. And if you're interested in private classes for your mutual assistance group, your agency, your organization, your SWAT team, no, I'm not kidding. We train SWAT teams, your fire department, your paramedic service, your whatever, your church, your school, your whatever. Sales at refugetraining.com for private classes. Sales at refugetraining.com. JC Fixer, have the Bearfac original. Now the wound bucket, amazing service. We are customers for life. Bless you, JC. Thank you. You know what you don't have is the Bearfac 0.0. I'll show you guys the original. There's one on planet Earth. Check this mamma jamma out. This was the first ever that Cody at Sojourn Gear sewed up for me. The first ever. You think it's been put through its paces? Yup. First one ever. Now, so this is the Bearfac 0. This is the Bearfac 3.0. So as you can see, we're constantly iterating and improving designs. That's the one that started it all. That's right, Chris. How cool is that? There's one of these on planet Earth. I have had people who have offered to buy this from me. They're like, I have to have it. I'm like, that's cute. You can't buy it. Had a guy offer me $10,000 for this. And I was like, no. Because sooner or later, at our corporate headquarters, this will be in a shadow box or on a pedestal somewhere when you walk through the front door. Awesome. Badass. So I appreciate every one of you that supports Refuge Medical and Refuge Training. I think you guys understand we are passionate about saving people's lives. And I walk this weird line of a dichotomy between I want you to have the kits that you need to save a life, and I don't want you to take unnecessary risks so you have to use your kits. I hope that makes sense. Lastly, but certainly not least, yesterday on YouTube, I released a video, The Making of an Orphan, with some pretty gruesome statistics. If you haven't watched that video, please go back and watch it. To those that did watch it, those that do support Grindstone Ministries, I love the shit out of y'all. I appreciate you more than words can say. There's 189,000 people in the Bear Nation who are subscribed to this channel. And that video got 6,000 views. So 1 in 31 people, 1 in 31.5 something people in the Bear Nation watched that video. Aight. Circles within circles within circles. Tracking. Got it. But if you haven't watched that video, The 12C Conditioning said that video was 100% required reading to stay subscribed. Shalom, brother. I agree. So, share that video. Watch that video. Stay plugged into what we do here. We do a lot here. I have a lot of different irons in the fires, and I am blessed to have a lot of different teams that do a lot of different extremely specialized things. That's one of them. Caleb House is one of them. So, yeah. Whiskey with Bear, WHIS. Taborosaurus Rex. Shalom, brother. That guy's awesome. That's an awesome brother right there. Love that guy. By the way, if you're not subscribed to Taborosaurus Rex and on his Patreon channel, what are you doing with your life, man? Like, what? Honestly, what are you doing? Like, I feel bad for you. You're missing out on so much. Whiskey with Bear, WHISKEY with Bear.com. That is our fundraising gala. Although I'm going to start calling it a gala because there ain't nothing gay about it. That is in North Dallas. It is the 16th of this month, so 13 days away, a couple weeks away. But Bear, I don't drink whiskey. You don't have to. Like, we're not going to put a gun to your head and be like, chug this bottle of whiskey. Like, no, it's a fundraiser for Caleb House. So if you want to come out, hang out in an intimate setting with me and the team from Caleb House and the team from Refuge Medical and shoot the shit, hang out, eat meat, drink a glass of whiskey or not, smoke a cigar or not, we'll be doing that. WHISKEY, whiskey-with-bear.com. And of course, as always, you can support Caleb House, which is our juvenile human trafficking survivor restoration facility. $50 words for the place where we put children back together who have been serially raped by assholes. You can buy some swag, t-shirts, long sleeves, and hoodies. Links are in the description down below. My brother Saw's Facts Not Feeling shirt and my brother Rex's The Real Dope shirt, all of which, the proceeds of which go to help support, help fund Caleb House. And understand here, we're not building buildings. Building buildings is easy, relatively speaking. We're building a future for these children who otherwise wouldn't have one. That's the point. And the building is just a small part of the equation. So if you'd like to participate in all these awesome things, I just see our awesome event coordinator just walked into the room. Shalom. Links are in the description. I really, really, really appreciate every one of y'all. Please be safe tomorrow. Please be safe tomorrow. Y'all have a blessed day. Shalom.